so is Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme? And to answer this properly, what we need to do is break down what a Ponzi scheme actually is and compare that to Bitcoin. So let's do that. So to start off, let's introduce you to this charming looking gentleman. His name was Charles Ponzi, and in 1919 he was considered to be quite a savvy, industrious and successful young businessman. But by 1920 he was in jail because he was found out to be a massive crook. This is actually his mugshot. And the system that he used to actually fleece people out of their money became famous, became known as a Ponzi scheme. So what did he actually do? Well, let's break down what a Ponzi scheme is. It starts off with someone at the top. So a deceptive person at the top who has no interest or desire to actually add economic value. And what they actually do is they look to bring in investors, and to do that, they'll generally promise excellent returns. So you might be getting a couple of % a year in your bank account, and this guy might come up to you and say, hey, give us your money, I'll give you 10 or 15% a month. And through all the hype, some people get excited, and then a couple of investors come on board. And they've got money, there's the money, and they give that money to the guy at the top. The guy at the top doesn't invest that into anything. He has got no real enterprise or money-making venture that he's trying to invest those money towards. But all he actually does, he keeps that money and he gives a portion of the original money back to the original investors and says, here you go, we've already started to make money, we're already making returns, here you go. And so the investors think that things are going really well. But all the guy has done is paid them out of there with their own money. Okay. And so they deliver fake returns, and then they bring in more investors, and he does exactly the same thing. Okay, so it's in a constant system of bringing in new investors and then using the new investor funds to pay everyone to keep everyone happy, and it goes again and again and again and again. Okay, so there are two big takeaways here about what a Ponzi scheme actually is. And number one is no economic value is created. All that's happening is money is actually being moved around. Okay, and the second big takeaway is it needs more people to be added to the system constantly, otherwise the whole thing collapses. All right, and so at the end of the day, what happens is everyone loses their money except for the guy at the top who runs away with the cash or ends up in jail. So that is pretty much what a Ponzi scheme is. Bitcoin, is Bitcoin that? No. It's not that at all. But let's have a look at those two main reasons and break down why that's actually not the case. So, okay, so attempt to provide a good or service. Yes, Bitcoin does attempt to provide a good and a service. The good is the actual token, so Bitcoin, and the service is the ability to actually send that Bitcoin in a way that's censorship resistant, almost instant, it's cheap, a global transfer of value with no barrier to entry. Okay, so it's pretty good. There isn't much of that out there at the moment, and this is really, Bitcoin is the first case that allows you to actually do that. It adds value. There's real economic value that's being created here. And the fact that there's a restricted supply means that the coin's value is determined by people guessing how valuable this network is going to be over time. Okay, so does it attempt to provide a good or service? Yes, absolutely. And can it survive without new investors? Yes, it can. 99% of everyone involved in Bitcoin could disappear tomorrow and the network would still tick away. Just how, if you've got a company or a stock that is listed on the NASDAQ, and if everyone sells it, sure, you might go out of business, doesn't mean that it's actually a Ponzi. A good way to think of Bitcoin is actually like a network. So let's say you've got the first telephone ever, and you're pretty excited and it can do all this great stuff, but because no one else has a telephone, it's not really worth much because you can't use it. Yeah, but as if your mate gets a telephone as well, that adds value to you because you can actually call him, and it adds value to him because he can now actually call you. So as more people actually join the network gets more valuable and more valuable and more valuable. Just because your mate doesn't use his mobile phone anymore doesn't mean it's a Ponzi. Okay, the network might not be worth as much because not as many people are using it, but that's fine. Okay, so can it survive without new investors? Absolutely. Bitcoin is absolutely not a Ponzi scheme. There are many other reasons why, but these are the two big takeaways about this. I'm going to be covering a lot of kind of misconceptions about Bitcoin. If you do have any other things you'd like me to cover, please let me know. Otherwise, if you did like the video, please like and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. So summary, is Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme? No, it's not.